Let's go back to North Africa, where floods have wreaked havoc in Libya, and in response, the World Health Organization will be releasing some $2 million in emergency funds to assist the thousands who have been impacted. We speak to Anisa Derna, a climate activist. Thank you very much, Anisa, for your time this afternoon. Perhaps just from the work that you do, what is the situation in Libya today as we speak?
Surprisingly, it's getting worse. So up until last night, everybody was asked to leave the affected areas, whether they're volunteers or professionals, out of fear that there will be some bacteria spreading due to the large volume of dead bodies in the area, which they cannot be tended for. So, for example, let me explain to you that we don't have a lot of female doctors in the affected areas. And that is quite problematic because most of the male doctors are tending for the male dead bodies. So they're washing them and preparing them for burial. However, we don't have enough female doctors to tend to the females. So the females are left to decompose. And that is causing a lot of bacteria to appear. So we've been calling for the Environmental Correction Committee to head to the affected areas in order for them to deal with this issue, out of fear that some sort of a disease or a plague might just start from the affected areas. And of course, all volunteers and citizens who left from other parts of Libya to assist were also asked to leave the area as soon as possible, because a lot of these people might actually end up spreading diseases in unaffected areas or once they return to their homes.
What is it that we need to understand about the infrastructure landscape of some parts of Libya? For instance, in Derna, where the river burst its banks, it met people on its path. And so what do we need to understand about the infrastructure landscape of the country? Okay.
First thing you need to understand that because a lot of media outlets were saying things such as it's due to the conflicts that took place or that started in 2011. So allow me to debunk that. That has nothing to do with it. In fact, we had a problem with infrastructure way before the revolution took place. We have extremely poor infrastructure, most of them what we call commercial buildings, okay? And they commenced in the 60s under Gaddafi, and they're really not good enough to handle different weather changes. That's where climate change comes in, because Libya's weather is mainly hot and dry. So even though the infrastructure is poor, we didn't really have any problems up until 2017 when we started have more seasonal raining. Raining became more common, which is something that we're not used to it. That's when we noticed that our infrastructure is really not able to handle any type of weather changes. So it's something that we've been aware of for quite some time. As for the dams, the Prime Minister actually asked for investigation to start because apparently the committees that were in charge of maintaining the dams were postponing the process because they did not want to pay the money for the maintenance, which was around $6 million. So now there's investigation happen, and the people who were in charge of maintaining the dams are to be investigated regarding this issue. So we're talking about dams are not being maintained in an area that was affected before by floods.
Thank you very much, Anisa Derna. She's a climate activist. Unfortunately, that's all the time we can afford today. Thank you very much for joining us.